Hey DIYers, Jarrett here from Alarm Grid. Today we're really just going to be going over how you would set up the partitions on your Qolsys IQ Panel 2 Plus to trigger the alarm siren. If you go ahead and set up the partitions on your Qolsys IQ Panel 2 Plus without enabling a certain option within the panel, not all of the partitions are going to sound the siren. We're going to be going over that option in a little bit, but just to go over and at least give you a little bit of information about partitions, just in case if you're not really familiar with them. Partitioning is essentially like sectioning off different zones that you have set up on your Qolsys system. So say for in a home, right, you have like an office and you have some sensors in the office and then you have some sensors in like the living room. So if you want to go ahead and arm the sensors in the office but leave all the sensors unarmed in the living room, then you would set up different partitions. So for instance, you would set up the office on partition 2 and you would set up the living room on partition 1. So like if you go ahead and arm partition 2, then all the sensors that are on partition 2 are going to be armed, and if any of them are triggered or any of them are tripped, it will trigger the siren on the Qolsys panel. But all the sensors within partition 1, which are in the living room, are not going to trigger the siren on the Qolsys because those are all disarmed because they're on a separate partition. So if you have different partitions, you can arm and disarm certain areas of the home without one affecting the other. So one last thing I'd like to add on about setting up the global intrusion sound and sirens option on the panel. The only way to be able to get to those options is if you do set up the partitions on the panel. If you don't have the partitions enabled, then you're not going to be able to see or enable those different settings to have all the partitions sound. So once you enable those partitions, then you'll be able to edit those different settings and set everything up the way you would like to. Now, once you do set up the partitions on the panel, this panel is going to ask you to enter the installer code to be able to confirm those changes. Now, anytime or once you have those partitions set up, anytime you go to wake up the panel or you go to access it, it is going to prompt you to enter that installer code again. And then once you do, it's going to give you a little good morning installer menu or a little window, and then you'll be able to access the panel again. You'll be able to control everything you need to. Now, once you do that, whenever you go into the advanced settings option, it's not going to ask you for the installer code at that point anymore, like it would normally when you don't have the partition set up. So you want to keep that in mind whenever you're going through the settings and everything. Don't want to get you confused whenever you're going through that. That is just a thing that happens with the Qolsys when you go ahead and enable the partitions. So if you wanted to go ahead and set up your Qolsys to have all the sensors sound on the partitions, or if you have all your partitions sound whenever sensors are activated, you're going to follow these simple steps. So on the panel itself, you're going to go into the main menu and everything, and then you're going to go into the settings option. But what I wanted to show you real quick is what I meant by that little prompt coming up to enter the installer code to be able to access the system. So right now the system is locked. If you tap on it, it's going to bring this keypad up. So this is where you want to type in the installer code, which the default is 1111, and then it gives you good morning installer. So now you're into the system. So once you're done with that, you're just going to go and you're going to tap the small gray bar at the top, and you're going to tap settings. Then you're going to go to advanced settings. And notice how it didn't ask for the installer code. That's also what I meant, but normally if you were to go into the advanced settings and you don't have partitions enabled, it is going to prompt you to enter the installer code. And again, the default is 1111. But now that we're in this menu, all you have to do is go into sound. And then you're going to scroll down until you see the option for global intrusion sound and sirens. So as of right here, we have partition sounds. So we have global fire siren, we have global intrusion sounds and sirens, we have global auxiliary sirens, chimes and voices, and all sounds on partition 1. So if you wanted all your partitions to sound, if any sensors were activated, then you're going to tap, you're just going to hit the checkbox. If you want any auxiliary alarms to sound on all partitions, you're going to hit the checkbox as well, or yeah. Now for the auxiliary for the auxiliary sounds, basically what that is if you were to go to the panel, or if you had a key fob and you were to trigger a panic option, whether it be like a normal panic on the system or a key fob, a medical panic, or even a fire panic. And whichever partition you're using at that time, whichever partition you're at, you can, and you go ahead and trigger those panics, it's going to trigger the alarm on the panel. If you don't have that enabled, then it is not going to trigger the alarm on the panel. So if you want to make sure that's the case, then you're going to go ahead and enable this option. Then you have global chimes and voices for all the partitions. Basically, if you wanted any of the sensors to produce a chime or a sound on the panel whenever they're faulted, you're just going to enable that option as well. So we're just going to enable that option. And then all sounds in partition 1, basically if you have any sensors set up on partition 1 and you wanted to have those sound, then you just enable that option as well. But for right now, this is the main focus, which is global intrusion sounds and sirens. Once you have that enabled, all you have to do is just hit the house button and it'll take you back to the main screen, and all of your changes will be saved automatically. And that is how you set up the sensors and all of your partitions to sound on the Qolsys IQ Panel 2 Plus. If you have any further questions about the Qolsys IQ Panel 2 Plus or alarm systems in general, please contact us at support@alarmgrid.com or go to our website, alarmgrid.com. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. If you want notifications of future videos, please click the bell icon. This is Jarrett with Alarm Grid. You have a great day.